This episode is brought to you by BettingJobs, a leading international recruitment provider to the iGaming sector. For more information, visit www.bettingjobs.com.
Still, when I meet people, everyone talks about the good old days in that sense. Okay, that could be interesting. Product, and it was compliance, and how do you marry the two?
Ulle, welcome to Diary of an iGaming Exec.
Thank you.
And speaking of executive positions, you just become CEO of DeGaming.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about DeGaming. What's that about?
Sure. So DeGaming is a platform that is run on blockchain. So everything is on-chain. And the value of that is that we can help operators solve the identified problem with trust, because we have the bankroll on site. So all the operators have a bankroll that we also fund for them, so they can focus on operations and most of all marketing. And all the players can also verify that there are funds actually on the site, so they will get paid. And the rest of the transactions, like withdrawals, anything gamified related, is shown as well. So they can see that players actually withdraw from the wallet and payouts are going for regarding rewards. So it's happening in real time. And that's a great value, because when you go to other sites, you have to kind of blindly trust that that is happening. So if they say, we will pay you, we have money, okay, then you hope that that is true, and most likely, hopefully you will get paid, but you don't know that. Do they have to wait for another player to lose funds before you can get that, etc. So we're all about bringing empowerment by truth to our operators.
Okay. So transparency, truth, these are the sort of buzzwords, I guess, that we're talking about here. But are you suggesting that this industry has a problem with those? Is that why you brought this about? Why this? Why now?
Correct. I think it's not only crypto related; it's an industry challenge regarding trust, and regarding the technology. Some, and I would say maybe a lot of companies have tried to implement blockchain and Web3 technology. Some have been more successful than others, but there's not always like an issue that they solve. So we have found this issue. I mean, it's quite obvious, really. It's there. I'm not sure anyone has put the finger on it. I think it's maybe more known from an external perspective when you're not in the industry, that, you know, casino seems shady. You know, there's a problem with trust in that sense. So we are solving that problem, not only for the operators, but for the industry, really. I think this is the way the industry will move going forward as well.
So truth is one thing, but in terms of transparency, does everyone want transparency in that space? Is part of the beauty or the desire of cryptocurrency that it is not quite as easily identifiable? I mean, what I'm trying to say is this a solution for everybody?
So I would say that it will be, if it's not already now. So you have different communities, of course, and you have what we call the black box system, the legacy systems, which is, you know, is kind of opaque. You cannot see what's going on. And I think by design, those who have designed it, it's favorable to them, but it's not favorable for the end user, the player, or for the affiliate in that sense. So it depends on how you run your business, but I don't think there's going to be an option not to show, you know, transparency going forward.
So you got your Web 2 community, you got your Web 3 community. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to both of those? Are you trying to take Web 2 people into Web 3? Are you trying to talk to Web 3 people who have possibly not got the best platform that they could have? And who's the audience?
Well, it's both, really. So if we start with the Web 3 people, they have understood that this is what the community wants and what they also require. So you have both those that have ran casinos in the past, understand that this is the next thing. And you also have you know, crypto communities that live and thrive in this, who wants to start a casino as well. And some of these, you know, look into the Web 2 people and say, these guys will never understand. You know, we're way ahead. Because you have these Web 2 guys as well that look at to the Web 3 guys saying that just looks totally strange. That's never gonna fly. Who wants that, really? Who cares? So these guys don't always meet, and we can be a bridge there. Because when you speak to the Web2 communities, they have, I would say, two camps. One that understands that this is interesting and they want to start something new, and this is where it's going. And you have another one that maybe the big players have been around for very long, and it's not just easy for them to start anew. But we have interesting discussions with them how we can be their platform, how to learn. They're like their sandbox and learn and develop. And then if they want to continue on our platform, they're very welcome. But if they want to build their own, they're entitled to. But they can learn a lot from working with us.
Okay. So those bigger guys is one of the challenges that they've got as well, that they've got hard-earned licenses in regulated markets. And obviously, when you talk about crypto casino, when you talk about Web3 development in our industry, it tends to be the sort of more unregulated stuff at the moment. Is the challenge not necessarily the technology, but also the kind of willingness to go into that world? And how do you solve that problem as well as the technological problem?
Yeah, so I would say, again, this is like an industry issue. It's not crypto focused because, for instance, we provide both, and from the bank are both fiat and crypto, but it's more about how to work with the technology, right? And there will be a challenge until it's fully regulated, but you can work with chain technology to a certain degree anyway, and you need to be prepared because, if we look into history, if we roll back a long time, 5,000 years BC, when you found, dice games and these discs in Mesopotamia, people gambled a long time ago. And then fast forwarding, the Romans, they gambled a lot. And then the Chinese wall was kind of funded on Keno. And then 1640, the first land-based casino really started in Venice. And then you go to 1997, where the first online casino started, Inter Casino, and they understood like this is going to be the next thing. But they had a lot of challenges. How do you get people to play online? How do you get people to deposit to play online? You need to have cash. You need to go to your bank. You need to have a bank card. You need to connect this bank card to this website. How does that work? And the adoption around that. But it worked. And then there was a next evolution of casinos. You see, 2014, you had Leo Vegas. The next thing was mobiles, and before that, who wants to play on a small screen? That just feels messy. And then that was the next thing. And then you have stake coming with crypto. 2017, 2018, just before COVID. It's like, okay, who wants to play on crypto? Mostly as people who have crypto and don't know what to do with it. But that was the next thing, and now we see. This is the next thing, right? And the regulation have followed. So it wasn't any regulation when Inter Casino came, and now it's fully regulated. They're looking into how to work with blockchain and crypto for that sake. And we have some very positive dialogues with regulated bodies and regulators in different territories who want to do this because they understand like everything is audited and transparent in real time by everyone. So it's the opposite of obfuscating or being in a dark basement somewhere. It's really bringing out the transparency and the clarity that it's safe.
Interesting. So the regulation tends to follow, doesn't it? Because the regulation can't be set first because it's not been innovated, it's not been invented. So you have to get the regulation second, which is interesting. But I guess one of the things you could argue that is holding back, and maybe I've got this wrong, maybe I've got an old-fashioned view, but it's holding back crypto at the moment is a lack of mass market adoption. Where's that going to come from, and how far away do you think we are from people, more than just, people are interested in computers, people are interested in new tech, and dare I say, criminals and other people that use that tech too. I'm not saying that's the only people involved in crypto.
That will always be the case,
yeah.
For anything in that sense, especially when it comes to new technology, I guess. But I think if we flip the question a bit, looking into, you shouldn't lead maybe with that it's crypto fueling the solution. So if you look to Polymarket, for instance, then that's a very cool solution. If you look into how Revolut are using, they're not leading with these type of technologies, they're leading with an experience. So now when companies are starting to understand that like this is power, but you just need to figure out how to use it, then the adaptability will come. But it's not necessary that you should feel like, okay, what type of network is this? What will be my gas fee? And no, that kind of ruins it. Then you have not built it properly.
You're from the Web 2 world originally, we all are. But are you someone who uses blockchain technology in your spare time? Do you mine Bitcoin at the weekend? Are you a kind of you're a kind of computer geek? Is that your thing, or?
No, not really. I'm interested. I read a lot. I listen to podcasts. I YouTube. I speak to friends. I keep track of trends. I'm more, speculating when I think, now the market is good. I'm more interested in what it can do for you, and then I'm speculating a little bit. So I really like the enablement of it.
Yeah, it's an interesting tech for sure. And talking of tech, take you back to the beginning, if I may, because your first forays into work were in computing. And I'm always interested, and you're not the first Swede I've talked to about this, but the fact that Sweden was one of the early adopters of home computers and that sort of thing. So you were in on the ground floor as a country, but also as an individual. Your first job was teaching people to use computers, wasn't it?
Yes. That was I worked in like a school's data center, you could say, if you could call that, about the school that I worked in, and then I taught people about computer science, because I like technology, and I like teaching. It's fun. Yeah.
That sounds like a small enterprise, but you went quite quickly from that to Dell, didn't you? So there's a thread, is what I'm trying to say here, between all of your jobs, that there's quite a lot of sort of computer technology based. Has that always been the part of your mind that excites you the most?
I like what technology does for you. When I was at Dell, for instance, I really liked what we could do for the companies that we worked for. It's not like you're on fire because you sold a pizza box that was actually a server, but you actually, what they did for that company. How could you enable them to work smarter, work faster, more secure? So that's why I really loved working at Dell with technology and working closely with our customers and partners.
Yeah. And like a lot of Swedish people who have been involved in technology early on in their careers, you found yourself in iGaming as it was exploding. And not only was it exploding in an interesting way across the industry, it was in particular at NetEnt, where you washed up. That was your first move into iGaming. How did you find NetEnt, and what was it like to work there?
I'd say it was great. I remember the first call that I got. I was quite happy. My apartment was refurbished in Stockholm. I was finished with business school. Work was going really well. Everything was going well. And then this recruiter calls me and pitches the idea. And I said, I don't really have time, because it was discussion about online entertainment. And I said, well, I had some friends working at EA Games. Is it something like that? Or is it Activision, now King? No, it's more like adult entertainment. I'm not really sure. We can talk at another time. But he called me again, and then he explained a bit more. I said, okay, that could be interesting. I wasn't a lot into slots like back then. I was playing poker like everyone else back then, and I went to the casino socially with friends. But that was kind of it. But then when I got to understand a bit more what NetEnt was all about, I was very intrigued, because I think the handcraft behind the games, the energy they would put in, and the quality of the games, and looking into the entertainment part of it. I really liked that entertainment that was bringing with high quality in a regulated environment, doing proper business to business. And the culture was fantastic, I have to say. And I'm still in contact with most people that I worked with during those years. And no, it was great. It was great, I have to say.
You were there at the very beginning of NetEnt. Obviously, NetEnt was established. Had Starburst come out by then?
Starburst has come out, yeah.
And was just on its meteoric rise, obviously, to where it is today still. But were you at a time at NetEnt where it was starting to refine its proposition, where it was starting to professionalize a little bit more? Not suggesting it wasn't professional before, but
No.
you were in to take it to the next level?
Yeah. I think that because we had the CEO for NetEnt back then was Per Eriksson, great guy, great CEO. And he had, I think, also worked at Dell a long time ago now, I guess. But so we could have discussions with Enrico Bradamante, who was MD back then. And we could really, and we had Björn Krantz, who came from Ericsson. So we were kind of like structured guys in that sense. So it was a little bit like going out with drinks from clients, signing deals on napkins 3 a.m. to understanding the business, what do they want, how does our product fit, who does it fit, when does it fit. So if you go to typical great in sports, maybe you shouldn't push slots down their throat and see if there's a fit, why there's a fit, and become more like trusted advisors, understanding their business and building a plan together. Where and how should it can we fit and can we maximize together?
Yeah.
That was a very good journey. The team in Malta and team in Jib were fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? There's several businesses in this industry, both on the operator side and the supplier side, who have been big in their day, and people who started their careers there or learnt their trade there have gone on to set up different things. It's a phrase that I've used before on this podcast, a school for scoundrels. It was a place where people learned and then went on and did their own thing. But NetEnt was right up there. And it's funny that we're not that many years later, but no one talks about NetEnt anymore. It feels sad that there's been a bit of a demise. I'm not going into the politics of it, but it's funny how something can be so high and is just not in the conversation now, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's the business, it's acquisition, it's mergers. It's about to happen. It was a great acquisition, of course, by Evo. But yeah, and still, when I meet people, everyone talks about the good old days in that sense. But yeah, it was school for scoundrels. I was thinking more like a plant school, maybe. I would say. And you had all, you had Fredrik Elmqvist going to the YGG, there was even Daniel Lindeberg doing quick spin, and I think the list goes on. I mean, there's so many legends, I would say, from that I had the privilege to work with, have done great things and still are doing great things. And after that, and I'm not sure. It was something in the water.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, I don't know if you're a fan of the band, but there was a band in the 60s called the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
Lou Reed obviously started there, and they always said about the Velvet Underground that 30 people ever saw them live, but of all those 30 people, everyone started a band. So,
wow.
And NetEnt was obviously bigger than the Velvet Underground, but you get a point that that's where you learn your trade, and you went off into the industry to do other stuff. I was at Ladbrokes. That was my first stint in the industry, and before Bet365 became a thing, Ladbrokes was world's biggest bookmaker, and people went there and went off and did other things. But yeah. Anyway, speaking of which, operators, you went from a supplier, and your first foray into the operator side, you left NetEnt for video slots. How did that come about? Were you reluctant to leave NetEnt? Were you ready to leave NetEnt? Tell me about the move.
I think it was natural in a sense that I was in a very privileged position, I have to say, in the job that I had, because you met all the operators. NetEnt was in its prime, so you got a good network quickly. I got into good discussions immediately, and you meet a lot of interesting people and companies. One of them was video slots, so I met them over lunch. You meet them at events, you had some chats, and we discussed a few things. I just shared my view of do's and don'ts and ideas that I had, and then they gave me the opportunity to onboard as Chief Operating Officer, which I thought was very interesting because I've been on the B2B side for so long. First, I was at a company called PayX. Now it's Swedbank Pay. Then I was at Dell. Then I was at NetEnt. So going really to the B2C and kind of removing any type of cushions or layers and just get straight into it. Plus, I really liked video slots, the product and the people and everything around it. So I still miss the guys at NetEnt, but they're not there anymore. They're otherwise industry. I still meet them, but yeah, it was a natural thing to do. But of course, it was you felt it when you went from the green NetEnt days to video slots. But that's how it came about.
Yeah.
And I worked closely with Alexander, who is the CEO and the majority owner, and the other owners back then. So I took over as a CEO, so I took over most of the staff. Alex focused a lot on the product, but of course had a large interest and is very knowledgeable about the whole business. We kind of scaled that, from getting in managers, building a C-level team, putting in structures, policies. Then we expanded the business, going from I think this went from Curaçao to MJ in UK, and we added on Denmark and Sweden, of course, Spain, Italy, Ontario. We looked at a few others, added more brands. So went from a single brand to multi-brand strategy, added sports and some other fun things that's I think still are cooking. So after a few years, I was promoted to deputy CEO, which wasn't a dramatic move because I've hired most of the people there, and it was all very natural. I think it's a good thing when you do something like that. It just should feel natural for everyone, ideally. So that's how I got into the B2C space, and I was there for I think 8 years, and it was a great journey. Got a lot of fun.
One of the things I always thought about video slots was that it never quite got the credit it deserved for pioneering quite a lot of interesting stuff within the industry. Did you feel that while you were there? Because you were constantly coming up with new stuff. You talked about the product side and Alexander, but there was new stuff that was then copied by perhaps bigger casinos, and I always think, well, that's a bit unfair because video slots did that first. But were you quite proud of the work that you did and some of the stuff you brought out?
Yeah, I think the team have produced some really amazing stuff, but we realized that as well, because we're a lot more about just doing and producing and not talking so much, where a lot of the other operators were talking a lot, and when you look into the substance, maybe ours was a little thicker, or we were first, but that's kind of the industry as well, right? You see something that's working, and you get inspired by that, and that's kind of the message that I always had internally, like, great work, now we can see these big guys are following us. That's kind of the message that I was pushing, but we could have maybe marketed a bit more. But at least the players knew, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about all of the industry, but the players were really loyal. And then when we discussed with other suppliers and looked into data that was shared, the players were really loyal. So that because all the gamifications and the whole product really was something that the whole company was breathing. It was product and it was compliance, and how do you marry the two? But I guess that's the same for a lot.
Any regrets at video slots? With anything you would have done differently, or anything you would have changed?
Well, you learn a lot, so you learn all the time. So of course, in hindsight, you could most likely have done some things different, but overall, I mean, I'm very proud of the team that's there and what they have done. I would say maybe we could have banged our own drum a little bit more. We took pride in the product and our ethics, which is great for the video slots tribe. No big regrets. So I've been working quite a lot these last years. I took I'll take a break, focus on the family, because I have some small girls to take care of at home, and a lovely wife. So just wanted to kind of take a break and
recharge the batteries.
Yeah, be with them and travel a bit and think what I wanted to do next, really.
And that's where we are at DeGaming. But
yeah.
So you just had your third child, I believe, haven't you?
Yeah.
I tend to ask this of female execs, and I shouldn't. I should ask it of every exec, because it's not about being a woman and looking after kids and what have you. But how do you juggle home and work life? How do you find it as a CEO, spending enough time with the people you need to spend at work, but spending enough time with people you love at home?
Yeah. It's you need to have a plan, and you need to be prepared to change that plan many times. But I'm very fortunate. I have a fantastic wife that takes care of a lot and makes sure that things work. But as many people in the industry, especially maybe in this job, you work quite a lot. So I make sure that in the mornings I'm the first one up, and I make sure that I have the breakfast time with them, and then I take the oldest to school, so I get some time with her, and then kind of you disappear in work, and then I try to have dinner with them. Not always succeed. But I would say like 9 out of 10, I put them to bed at least.
Pretty good, yeah.
And that's kind of my favorite time with them, because then you read a few stories, you have a chat about the day, and that's I really and then of course compensate kind of as soon as you can. Like as you in this work, you take a deep breath and then you go down under the water, you swim, and then you take another breath and you go. So when you take that breath, do that properly, like so. for instance, like if this weekend, if you can not work as much, spend as, take them to the beach, take them to do things, do them properly, and because if you have the opportunity to take it, don't waste it, because that something fun will happen at work that you want to dig down into any day now.
Yeah,
and that's kind of
the balance.
How you do it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have I want to fix breakfast for them. I want to read the bedtime stories. I try to have dinner with them, and then every now and then, if you can pick them up from school, if it's just a meeting is canceled because if the school is very close, I walk there in like 15 minutes. So it's possible sometimes. Just get the nuggets every now and then when you can.
It's nice. And obviously, speaking of family life, you're bringing up your kids in Malta. You've been here presumably since your net end days.
Yeah, 12 years now.
Yeah. So how do you find Malta, and how have you found Malta change in that time?
Well, I have changed as well. I think you need to take that into consideration. But in short, I'm from an island originally myself, so I really like being close to the sea, and I find it very convenient with everything being close. It's very low crime rate, which is something that you have started to appreciate when you get older and maybe have children. The light does a lot, because when you work, I think it does for everyone, of course, but when you work a lot, I think for me the light is fantastic. If you can go up in the morning for a run or something, and you get that light, that fuels you for the whole day. So I think these are a lot of good perks with Malta in that sense. You can miss a few things, right? You miss a bit of the greenery. So make sure, like on our terrace, we have a lot of greenery, and you go to a park.
Skiing's not as good either.
It's not as often. No, you need to get out and do those things. But I think for me, I'm fortunate because in work I travel a lot, so you get a bit of that as well. But how it's changed, I think when I moved here, there was, I think, like the Scandi communities were more visible in that sense. And there are not as many cliques anymore, which I think is normal, because now we're more integrated, so it's more mixed, which I think maybe is healthier as well. So not Swedes keeps to the Swedes, etc. So that have changed a bit, but I think that's good. Maybe that's because I've changed as well. Of course, there are more people now, and there's more cars and these things, but the government are trying to solve it. Will they have a train? Will they do this and things like that? So I don't think Malta's gotten worse in that sense. Of course, you see more construction now than you did back then.
Same everywhere. There's big plants at Grand Harbour as well, which look quite exciting. I saw those the other night.
Yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff happening as well. Yeah.
Speaking of childhood, yours in this case.
Oh dear.
I heard earlier that you were big into martial arts when you were younger. Is that something you still do now? How did you get into it, and is that your sport?
So yeah, I got into quite early. I think I was roughly around 5. Can't really put my finger on why I liked it or I was intrigued, but then I saw a poster and then I asked my mother if I was allowed, and she laughed and drove me there. But it kind of stuck. So I started early with Yushin Jutsu, which is more on the defense, self-defense kind of stage. And then we moved to Aikido, which is kind of related. But then I wanted to try something more on the offense. So I dabbled a bit with Kyokushinkai, Karate, Shorin Kempo, and then I moved into Kung Fu, which I did for maybe 5-6 years. Then I wanted to try something else, so I switched to kickboxing, and that was a really fun sport. It was a big community. You could compete. There was a more like a competition system around that as well, where Kung Fu was more about form and technique, but you could compete as well. But you had to go to like mixed tournaments called All Style, and these where different forms met. So it was a bit different. Kickboxing was more kickboxing against kickboxing, and I liked the speed of that. We had a really good community in the group, so I fell for that. I got addicted to that. So I trained a lot for a few years, and I tried to compete. I was curious to see how do I, how you against the guys and the girls in the club, but if you go to Stockholm or somewhere and try, how would that? Because I'm from an island region called Gotland, and you need to take a ferry, and it's a small trip to go to Stockholm. So I wanted to try, I went quite well. I took bronze in my first fight, and I learned a lot. You learn a lot from that fight that you couldn't learn by not fighting in a match, so to say. It's different adrenaline. You realize that you fight against different people of different styles. So kickboxing, yes, it's a style, but if you go to the south of Sweden, they train a bit different from the mid, and so that kind of related to me when I trained kung fu as well, because they come from different styles, come from different areas. Because also when you look into China back in the day, if you had people in the north, they were taller, so they had a different style from those in the south who were shorter. And those who worked at the harbor, they had different traits, that they also the different styles. And I thought that was very interesting. And the only thing to learn more is expose yourself. So I started, I trained, and I was also a trainer as well. And so on the weekends, I traveled to Stockholm and I trained there to learn more. And then did more and more fights. So in the end, 2005 and 2006, I ended up being ranked #1 in Sweden. That was quite fun, and you got to train and fight a bit with a Swedish team. And there were a lot of them from the south. So I traveled there a lot, and we went from some international competitions, because then you was a different type of style. So the guys from Italy fought, very much different from us in Sweden, even though you could see nuances, and that was very fun. It was a lot of fun. And then I kind of wanted to do Thai boxing because it was more fun. It was a different style. And then I moved to Stockholm, so then I could try MMA, because I didn't have that where I was from. So then I got stuck with that for a while. It was so fun, because then I was back, because stand-up fighting I could do. But now I had to combine it with being on the carpet, and that I hadn't done that in a long time. And this was much more, because it was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu combining with Thai boxing, kind of.
Right.
Then you had to challenge my mind even more. So I continue with that. When I moved here, I continued with Thai boxing, and now with 3 children at the job, it's a little less.
I can imagine. Yeah. But the obvious question to make, because a lot of people relate what they do in their personal life to work, and work to their personal life. But did you learn anything in martial arts that you took into your business, whether it was resilience or determination, or was that just that natural in you and came out in martial arts?
I think 2 things. One is, from Kung Fu, you think that you have the opponent, and you have a center line, and you have 2 other lines. So you have like 6 windows that you want to open while you're closing your own. So it's all about opening their windows and closing your own. So that's how you look at deals as well, or whatever you do in business. You have obstacles, and you need to open those windows, and you need to kind of protect yourself at the same time. And the other one is, I would say, resilience. You put your mind into it, and you go hard, kind of. But also something you learn: you cannot fight angry. If you're angry or upset, frightened, sad, angry, you lock your mind, and you're not fighting well. So it's all about training hard, then relax, fight easy. You should be saying. So it should just come natural. And then when you go to stress situation, you need to remember you're not operating at your 100% capacity, because you're stressed, you're pushed or something. You need to, 3 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of meditation, that's a lot. And then you come back to the problem. So keep the calm, but never surrender.
I like it. Sweden's answer to Bruce Lee. Presumably you don't do business deals with your fists and your feet, though. Opening windows.
I shake hands.
That's about as much as they go.
A hug every now and then. Yeah.
Cool. We always finish these podcasts with 3 simple questions.
Sounds like 3 simple questions with 3 difficult answers.
Well, no, and you can be as long-winded or as short as you like with the answers. It doesn't matter. But just again, to find out a little bit more about people and what they do outside of work. But if I was to put you on the spot and ask you about your musical tastes, if you had a favorite band or a favorite singer or a DJ, if you had an opportunity, alive or dead, who would you like to go and see?
I like music a lot. My parents played music. I played some music myself.
All right, what did you play?
Not what I wanted to play. I wanted to play drums and guitar. I got to play the clarinet and some other instruments. So when I got older, I started playing the guitar as well. But always close to music. So I have a very wide taste in that sense. Hard to pick. I mean, there is a concert I would have liked to see in Carnegie Hall.
Mhm.
It was like in the 70s with Bill Withers.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
He did a fantastic performance there, and I still put that record on every now and then. But yeah, so I would have loved to be in there, seeing that. I'll send you that album. You have to listen to it.
Yeah.
But I of course listen to modern music as well. I was a big house fan for a while.
All right.
I listened to a lot of metal.
Of course.
And I mean hip hop. I think I like everything that's best in its genre, I would say. And I go through emotions. You know, you're into a hip hop phase, old hip hop phase, and you go to a house phase. Then it's like now it's metal. Now it's a lot of metal.
Interesting. All right. And if you were going to sit down and have a meal with this music, what would your go-to meal be? What's your favorite thing to eat?
I really like stuff with saffron.
Oh, okay.
So a really good saffron risotto.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to beat.
Seafood or meat or vegetarian?
I think with saffron seafood marries better. But I have to say, my wife does the best homemade pizza ever. That's like a favorite, and she knows that. She saves it for special times. And I'm like a kid. It's fantastic. She does it with Parma ham, and it's super good.
All around to yours after this then. That's good. And last but not least, this is a podcast for iGaming executives, but what advice would you give to the next generation of iGaming executives?
I think it's important to be hungry and open-minded. So for instance, this shift that we're going through now is a good example. Like, you know, look into Web3 and blockchain technology, because it's coming. And if you don't want to be the BlackBerries that had this great phone and then no one besides some American companies use it, or Nokia coming from tires to boots to having the most popular phone and then it kind of just disappears, and these bits, keep an eye on what's coming next. Question me, even if you've been I don't know, CEO for 15 years, go to conferences. Don't only listen to the big keynote. Go down to the basement, listen to the AI guys, listen to the blockchain guys, listen to whatever is cooking, and have the conversations and be open-minded and hungry.
Interesting. We started with technology and we finished with technology. Ulle, thanks ever so much for joining me on Diary of an iGaming Exec.
Thank you.